Breakdown, January 28, 2025. We're going to talk SEC versus the Big Ten, which we do every time, JJ.
Yes, sir.
We're going to wrap up some football.
Yeah, why don't we wrap up some football, then why don't we pivot over to some basketball?
They playing basketball.
They are
okay,
playing
well,
basketball.
Let's do the football one real quick.
All right, let's do it.
Big Ten did it again.
Yeah, back to back. It's like when Alabama and Auburn went back to back in, when was that? 2010, 2011?
In Auburn?
Yeah, Alabama won in 2010, 2011.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. Right.
Cam Newton.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Bama won it the year before, and then Cam Newton took Auburn to their last.
Is this the start of something big to come?
Yeah, I mean, it's the Big Two and the Little Ten carrying the conference again. But yeah, I think the Big Ten might be in a little bit of a roll.
Okay.
Well, with the addition of I'm just being facetious. With the addition of Oregon, USC,
and Penn State made a little noise themselves.
Penn State is pushing some chips in. We're gonna talk about their defensive coordinator hire. We're gonna talk about that a little bit later. Yeah, but with all of those teams loading up, I think the Big Ten looks very, very strong, very top heavy at least.
How dominant was Ohio State in that championship game?
They were as dominant as everybody was expecting them to be before the season. Will Howard drove the engine. He looked as good as advertised, and Jeremiah Smith, when they decided to use him, was a home run threat every time.
Yeah. They in their defense had Notre Dame stifled for the first half. Notre Dame took the ball and went down and scored a touchdown, and then after that, every possession in the first half was a 3-and-out.
Yeah, the quarterback Riley Leonard ran the ball, I think, 8 times on that drive.
Yeah, on one drive.
And he threw up after. They caught him live on camera.
Quarterback ain't used to running that much.
Yeah, so that was obviously unsustainable.
What else you want to say about it? I mean, it's been a while now since they played.
Yeah, it was a overall good championship game. I thought it was more competitive than the last time Notre Dame was in a championship game. At first, I thought Ohio State was going to run away, but Notre Dame got back into it. They had some questionable calls. They went for a field goal that they missed.
Yeah, when they were behind, when they should have gone for the first down.
And then they had a fake punt that they should have gotten, actually, but the guy dropped it. It's kind of why he doesn't start at receiver and why he's on special teams. But yeah, there were some questionable calls, but I think Marcus Freeman, earned a lot of goodwill in the way he adjusted to the game, the way he managed a playoff run. This is a different college football landscape now. It's not just one bowl game that you have to prepare for. You have to prepare for a run.
That's true.
You have to prepare for injuries. You have to prepare for attrition. And I think Notre Dame was really resilient in that respect. I thought it was a really good playoff. I guess the South didn't, because if you saw the ratings,
what was the rating?
They were not great. They were significantly down from last year. I think we were a long time removed from someone from the South having.
Well, even last year there was no one from the South involved.
That's true, but the game was only a couple of weeks after. Alabama played in the game a week or two before.
Yeah.
But with just these amount of layoffs.
Well, Texas had played in.
Texas is, but they're a new addition to the conference, and they don't have the same type of cash with the conference.
I would think Notre Dame, a national team with their own TV contract and all, and Ohio State, a perennial football powerhouse, you would think the ratings would have been a little bit better. I mean, at least I would have. But I will say this: the first half was ugly.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, if you watched, you might have stopped watching at the end of the first half. But as you said, Marcus Freeman did adjust. Notre Dame did come back and made it at least watchable.
Yeah, it was watchable. I mean, they had an opportunity to, I mean, that 3rd and 11 where Ohio State threw the ball to Jeremiah Smith is really what blew the game open. And had Notre Dame gotten a stop there, I mean, it was a one-score game at that point. So who knows what could have happened. But we know it did happen, and that's Ohio State won their first championship since 2014.
Last question before we pivot, unless you have more. Can Ohio State repeat?
Can they? Yeah, they can repeat. They're losing Quinshon Judkins. They're losing a lot of seniors. They're losing Travion Henderson. But they're keeping Jeremiah Smith. He is 19 and a freshman. He has to come back.
Did you say losing Judkins?
Quinshon Judkins declared for the NFL draft.
Oh, is he old enough?
This is his third year.
I did not realize that. Okay.
Yep. So they're gonna have to replace some
Both
guys at
running
running backs, but they will not have to replace Caleb Downs, provided they're willing to pay for him. Same thing with Jeremiah Smith. It was reported that he got a $4.5 million offer from another school to transfer. I'm no idea what school that is, but if I know Texas's resources, like I think I know Texas, that sounds like a Texas special.
Well, Miami has done the same thing.
Yeah,
But a little more than 4 for Becker from Georgia.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think the landscape is so that it's not football is not the sole domain of the South. Given Michigan's spending on the quarterback, Miami spending on a quarterback, although Miami is the South, it's not an SEC South team.
Yeah, I mean, now that it's all about money, there's a lot of schools that are not in the South that have a lot of money.
Exactly.
Penn State, Michigan, Ohio State. Yeah, like you mentioned, there's a lot of schools with a lot of money in the conference. So, and then you have schools like Oregon, which, Phil Knight's not getting any younger. He wants to see a championship before he dies. That's what he's already come out and said that publicly. Well, he's in his late 80s, so there's no day is guaranteed for anybody. But if I'm him, I'd probably be a little impatient. They have a lot more resources than one would expect. Eugene, Oregon, I think a city that's less than 3% black, or it just not just where it's located, and it's not in a traditional southern area or anything like that. It doesn't have a lot of recruiting means, but Phil Knight's investment has really propelled them.
Okay, I'm not clear on whether or not Ohio State. What are your chances of repeating?
They'll be the favorites. They are the favorites.
Okay.
They're the favorites to repeat. They're the favorites in Vegas. I can't remember what their odds are.
Okay.
But they will be favorites.
Do you agree with Vegas?
Well, I think you have to look at the quarterback situation. And Ohio State has a really good quarterback in Julian Sayin, the Alabama transfer. I think quarterback play is what submarined the SEC this past year. And I think it's what propelled the Big Ten. I think Drew Aller and Penn State should be a favorite. They're going to be coming back. I think, I look at the schools that have quarterbacks, have defenses. Those are the schools that, are going all in. And for some schools like Michigan 2 years ago, like Ohio State this past year, it works. And for some schools like Ole Miss this past year, and, other schools like that Miami, they don't make the playoffs. So I think quarterback play is very important, but obviously offense and defense. And just overall, you have to have the whole team.
Because Miami did have the offensive play this year.
They did. But if you look at the SEC, I mean, Georgia, who's going to be their starting quarterback next year?
I don't know. The guy who came in and against Notre Dame, I can't even remember his name.
Yeah. I mean, you have DJ Lagway in Florida. He looked legit. You had Lenore Sellers in South Carolina.
He looked best of all to me, of the ones coming back.
Well, what about Garrett Nussmeier in LSU?
I forget about him.
So you have those guys.
I still think I would put Sellers slightly ahead of him.
Yeah. Then there's a lot of unproven.
Manning.
Yeah, Manning is unproven. The Oklahoma transfer went to Mississippi State. He's probably going to be the starter, the front runner to be a starter. He didn't have a great year at Oklahoma.
You got the big money freshman coming in from Michigan. Will he be starting?
That's a good question. Mikey Keene transferred from UCF to Fresno State, and from Fresno State to Michigan. That's a good question. Who will be Michigan's day one starter? I don't know.
Okay. Anything else on college basketball, SEC, Big Ten,
college football?
You can see where my mind is going.
Yeah.
College football.
No, just it was a good. I would say the first year of the 12-team playoff was a success. It just spilled over way too far into late January.
I would say it was a success as well. But I did forget one thing,
yeah.
and you touched on it earlier. Penn State getting a new defensive coordinator.
Yeah, they are getting a new defensive coordinator. Jim Knowles, also known as Ohio State's coordinator,
previously.
A couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, he. I don't know what happened, but apparently he was asked not to come to the celebration because before that the administration was trying to reach out and contact him, and apparently he was not returning their calls. So apparently there was a bit of a contentious relationship in Columbus between Ohio State and their defense.
How did Ohio State defense perform this year to you?
They were excellent.
I agree. Penn State, They paying him some money.
They are paying them some money, but Ohio State is not the stepsisters of the poor.
Well, he's from Pennsylvania.
He is from Pennsylvania. That is true. But
okay,
yeah, he's from Philadelphia, which is a little bit like 2 hours away from college. What's it called? Not College Station. Let's say that.
Yeah.
What State College?
Yeah.
Yeah, but Ohio State might have to see their other coordinator, Chip Kelly, leave as well, as he's been entertaining NFL offensive coordinator interviews. So it might be rebuilding from a decent defensive coordinator and offensive coordinator standpoint. But I have a feeling Ohio State will be fine regardless
because of Ryan Day.
Because of the money that they can pay, and
Okay.
the resources that they have. I think that's a desirable position. If it were to open, people would leave. So. That should about do it for college football.
Okay, let's flip it a little bit because it is January, and January in the Midwest means basketball and hockey. Which would you prefer to talk about?
Well, why don't we talk about the Florida Panthers? You think they're gonna have a chance to repeat? Let's talk about a little bit about college basketball.
Basketball. Let's hit the Big Ten first.
Let's hit the
because
Big Ten.
There's a team in the Big Ten that has just been, in my mind, dominating.
Well, we'll have to save the best conference for last, but yeah, we'll talk about the team in the Big Ten.
How awesome is Michigan State?
They're pretty good. I would say I think they have probably the second best potential to make a deep run of any team in the conference. This was a turnaround year for Tom Izzo. The way it started, I was not optimistic that he was going to be able to put this type of season together.
They won 12 in a row.
They have won 12
and
in a
it
row.
started with the third game of the season they lost to Kansas.
And then they lost to Memphis
in Hawaii.
Lost
to Memphis.
After that loss,
they have not lost.
They have not lost since
12
then.
in a row.
Yeah.
And looking very, very good. What's the key for Michigan State's run? 12 in a row run. What's been the key?
I think the key has been Chase Richardson.
I like him a lot.
I think he has been the key.
A freshman, the son of
Jason Richardson.
Yeah.
Yeah, from Colorado. He's second in the team in scoring. He just had a career high 20 points in the previous game. He's second on team in scoring. He's shooting 59% from the field and 46% from three. He's a 6'3" guard. He doesn't play anything like his dad. He's a crafty guard. D'Angelo Russell, James Harden type that can get to the lane and find interesting ways to finish around the rim. He can get up there when he needs to, but yeah, he's been dynamic. He wasn't a McDonald's All-American. He was like the 43rd ranked recruit in his class, just a high 4-star, but he's really showed out and impressed, and you see him on NBA draft boards.
Yeah. His dad was a dunker extraordinaire. Jace is the lefty. Got a lot of basketball savvy. What else been running Michigan State?
Well, I mean, the leading scorer, Jaden Akins, is back, and he's a guy that sets the tone on both sides of the ball. He will guard. He will guarding people is what got him on the court when he was a sophomore. So he will guard the team's not usually the best player because he is a leading scorer, so he does have to conserve a lot of energy from that way. But he does lead by example. I think Carson Cooper has his basketball IQ is incredibly high. There's so many things that he does that don't show up in the stat sheet, but just he'll box out and let a guard get the rebound. That won't show up in the stat sheet, but it's the right. I mean, it's just a high IQ play. I think
How good is Xavier Booker?
Xavier Booker's good. He can fall in love with a three. He can be very streaky. I've seen him miss 3-4 threes in a row. But when he's on, that can really be hard. I mean, Michigan State is almost impossible to guard when he's making threes, because then you can have a Jackson Kohler or a Carson Hooper, somebody inside, and have 4 out, and you have to. I mean, just trying to guard that when one of the 4 outs is a 6'11" guy, it's just really difficult.
And Michigan State's leading the nation in fast break points, and we haven't even mentioned Fears.
Yeah, Jeremy Fears has really been the conductor. He's been the maestro of the show. He stepped in for AJ Holgard. AJ Holgard and who else was running the point? It wasn't Trey Holloman. Oh, they had
from last year.
Tyson Walker.
Yeah,
too.
from last year. Yeah.
Yeah, they'd have Tyson Walker run the point. He stepped in and he just makes the right decision at the right time. He's not flashy. He's not, spectacular scorer or anything like that. But he can get to the lane. He can finish. He knows where everybody is supposed to be. He knows where everybody is, and he makes the right decision. And he guards people too.
If you are sleeping on Michigan State winning a national championship, wake up a little bit. I know JJ gonna disagree with me, but wake up because it ain't even March yet, and they always get better about March. JJ, who else in the Big Ten is good?
Illinois has the most talent in the Big Ten, and that is a testament to Brad Underwood. Everyone, had been pouring dirt on the grave of Illinois when they lose Terrence Shannon Jr. and the guy who went to Kansas State. The guy who got
all that money to
$2 million to go to Kansas State and not win games.
JJ, I want to interrupt you, man, because you jumped down to Illinois. They've lost 4 Big Ten games.
They have.
Michigan has only lost 2. Purdue has only lost 2. Wisconsin
4
has
total games, not.
I mean in the Big Ten.
Okay.
In the Big Ten, I'm talking just Big Ten.
Okay.
Illinois has lost 4 Big Ten games. They're 6-4. I thought when the season started, I thought Illinois was the best team in the Big Ten. I thought.
So you were the one.
I was the one.
Okay.
But I'm not thinking that way anymore.
Okay. Well, I like them a little bit more now that they got back healthy. They got Kasparis Yusionis back. And
Tell me about him.
Well, he's a 6'6" combo guard from Lithuania. He will be a top 5 draft pick.
Top 5.
Yeah, he will be. He'll probably be a top 3 draft pick. He's dynamic. He can get to the lane. He can get to pretty much any spot. He can shoot. Like he's a really good passer. He's honestly like my favorite player in college basketball right now. Kasparis Yusionis. I don't know how to pronounce his name really well, so sorry about that. But I really like. He reminds me of James Harden, and
you like him because you like people who have NBA skills, right?
Yeah, you can see that his game is very much translatable. You can see the way in which it will be.
But this is what I want to say. NBA skills don't always translate into college success.
It doesn't.
Look at Calipari, his last few years at Kentucky.
That's true.
And his current year at Arkansas. He has a guy who initially was going to be a top 10 pick, and Arkansas is one of the worst teams in the SEC. And look at Rutgers. Tell me about Rutgers and their NBA talent.
They have Ace Bailey and Ron Harper Jr.'s brother, Dylan Harper, 2 projected top 5 picks as well.
2 of them projected top 5 picks on one team.
Yeah.
Let me tell you what their record is.
Yeah.
3-6 in the Big Ten.
Yeah, that's true.
And 11-9 overall.
Yeah, but Illinois is not Rutgers, and Brad Underwood is not Steve
That's
Pikiell.
true, but that doesn't discount my comment that NBA talent doesn't necessarily mean
it doesn't,
college.
and in the wrong hands, I agree completely. Okay. It does not result in college success. It results in Kentucky losing to Oakland and then getting 2 guys picked in the top 10. And the draft.
Yeah.
It involves them getting the National Player of the Year and then losing to St. Peter's.
I understand.
Brad Underwood is a very, very good coach. John Calipari may have used to be a very good coach. I don't know. I know he's not a good coach now.
Okay.
I know he's a very, very bad coach now.
You won't get an argument from me.
Okay.
But JJ, Big Ten.
Yeah.
I know you're going to say Illinois is the second best team in the Big Ten. Or would you say they're the best team in the Big Ten?
They're the team I would put my money on. I think they have my money on to make a big run.
Okay. So give me your top 4 Big Ten schools.
Illinois 1, Michigan State 2, Purdue 3. Wisconsin or Michigan 4. Oregon, obviously. I'm leaving Oregon out, and I know Oregon has the second most quad 1 wins in the country behind Auburn. And nobody's even comes with 3 close to Oregon. So I know Oregon has done a lot.
Right. They're ranked number 6 seed.
I'm gonna go with Wisconsin above. But I will put Oregon above. I will put Oregon above Michigan. I'll put Wisconsin above both Oregon and Michigan.
Okay. Michigan has surprised me a whole lot, a heck of a whole lot,
Yeah.
a heck of a May. This is first year coaching.
They've surprised me in good ways and bad ways. I never would have thought that they would have lost to Oklahoma. I would the way that they did.
Arkansas.
I wouldn't have thought that they would have lost to Arkansas. looking at who the Arkansas's coach is.
Yeah.
But they've been pleasant. They've had some pleasant surprises as well. Didn't know who Danny Wolf was coming into the season. Now everybody is asking who's this 7-footer that passes like a guard and everything like that. What impresses you most about Michigan?
Their offense. When they get rolling, they can light it up.
Yeah, the two bigs I think are the engine of the team, but they're a complete team.
Can we switch to the southeast part of this country?
Yeah, when we talk about the best conference in
basketball right now,
yeah. Let's talk about the basketball conference that is the SEC, because they haven't even played in the last two football conferences, so they're not a football conference anymore.
This is the first time that I can remember the SEC being rated the best basketball conference in the country.
Yep.
Tell me about their top heavy teams.
Well, they're more than top heavy. They're incredibly deep.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, the best team in the country, Auburn. They have the most quad one wins in the country. I think they have 11 quad one wins. No other school has 10. No other school has 9. Oregon has 8. No other school has 6. No other school has 7. Well, no, a couple have 6.
Can I ask you a question?
Mm-hmm.
And you're a guy with, you like the NBA. That's your real forte is the NBA. Who has the most upside, Auburn or Alabama? I've heard some people discussing this in a couple of different spots, and it's been all over the table. Who has the more upside, Alabama or Auburn?
I mean, it depends. If you can get the Mark Sears that you got from last year, the Mark Sears that was the preseason Player of the Year in the SEC and the preseason National Player of the Year, if you can get that guy back, I think Alabama has more upside. But he has not been playing the way that he played last year. He has not been playing like the guy that took him to a Final Four. He shot 49% from the field last year. This year he's shooting 39% from the field. He got benched for the entirety of the second half of their I can't remember if it was their last game or the game before that, but that's a coach sending a message. And he's their best player. He's the guy that has to make he's the straw that stirs the drink. He has to play better, but he has the potential. We've seen him do it last year, so I will say that Alabama has the potential. I mean, they just have that untapped potential because we've seen proof of concept. We've seen Mark Sears do it. They still have guy from North Dakota.
I forget his name. Gosh.
I mean, he's been dynamic. He put up almost 30 points against Kentucky. I mean, they were a 2-man crew. But Mark Sears has been so inconsistent. I will say that Auburn has been much better than I would like them to be because I'm not a big Bruce Pro guy. But, I can't deny that the man can coach. He can coach, and he's coached up some players.
Auburn is currently rated number 1 in the country.
Mm-hmm.
Alabama's rated number 4 in the country. Mm-hmm. And Florida, number 5 in the country.
3 top 5 teams. They sound like the Big Ten football.
It does. But JJ, the state of Alabama, number 1 and number 4, and we ain't even talking football. No. What's wrong with that picture?
Well, because if we're talking football, the state of Alabama went 0 for Vandy in football. So, yeah.
So what has changed to make the SEC the top conference right now in basketball?
Well, this was always the plan. When they started the
Plans
SEC
don't
network,
always come to fruition.
It's true, but it just means more.
Okay.
When they started the SEC network, they had a plan to attack the 4 revenue-producing sports for them, because baseball might not be a revenue-producing sport for every school in the country. For the specific region of the SEC, it is more valuable there than anywhere else. So that was baseball, men's basketball, women's basketball, and obviously football. And they've done it in every sport except for basketball up until now. I mean, they've been more dominant in baseball than they have in football.
For sure.
I mean, we know what LSU and Angel Reese have done. We know what Don Staley has done. I mean, we know what tennis. We know what the SEC is doing when it comes to women's basketball as well.
Okay. Well, the SEC. How many teams are they projected to get into the tournament right now in basketball, men's basketball?
I've seen as much as 14.
It's an 18-team league.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I mean, 14 wouldn't make the tournament if all 14 got in, and that's a ways off. But that seems almost unreal, JJ.
It is unreal. I don't think they're going to get 14, but they could.
Yeah.
13 is possible. It's they could tie the record.
Well, maybe Arkansas can win the conference tournament and sneak in there too. Take somebody's spot.
Yeah, that would from your lips to God's ears. I mean, but
okay. Well, JJ, it's really now just getting. I mean, we're just now starting to focus on the basketball.
It's the longest college football season ever, so it's
That's true. That's true.
That does impact the college basketball.
Who's your dark horse in the SEC, and who's your dark horse in the Big Ten? Before we get, and when I say dark horse, somebody that's not in the top 10.
Somebody that's not in the top 10.
Yeah,
that's a good question. I like Ole Miss a lot.
Do you?
I think Chris Beard's a really, really good coach.
I agree with that.
I think he's a good coach. I think they have a lot of talent.
What about Tennessee? Oh, they are.
They are very much in the top 10.
What about Kentucky? They're not in the top 10.
Not in the top 10, but they have some issues. Andrew Carr, their backup four, is questionable with back issues, and those have been lingering for a while. Lamont Butler won't be playing in their next game. He's their best perimeter defender. He's the guy that hit the shot to send San Diego to the San Diego State to the championship game. 2-3 years ago.
Yeah.
He's their best perimeter defender, and he's the point guard for them. He won't be playing. So they have injury issues. They might be the least athletic team in the SEC, a very athletic conference.
Okay.
So they have issues, but I think they're much better coached than they were last year. Like, much better coached. Like, if Mark Pope traded teams with John Calipari right now, I mean. Anyway, we won't even.
Okay,
we won't even go there.
We're gonna get out of here pretty soon.
Sorry,
but I'm gonna pick Vandy. Anchor down, baby.
I was
as my dark horse.
I was considering Vandy. I was considering Vandy.
Give me your Big Ten dark horse before we get out of here.
Well, can I go with Wisconsin?
Of course.
I'll go with Wisconsin.
Okay, there you have it. We're gonna get out of Dodge right now. All I'm gonna say is WPS Arkansas this coming Saturday. You better beat Kentucky. Calipari, if you lose, you're going to be the butt of all Kentucky jokes. WPS, Boo Pig Suey.
Go Birds.
Go Birds, Philly in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, don't let Pat Mahomes get another.
All right, we out of here.